Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Broom Talk, the podcast where witches, healers, and magic makers gather to share their journeys, their magic, and their truths. I'm your host, Priestess Mellisa of Enchanted Dragonfly, inviting you to take a seat at the Broom Circle because the real magic is in the stories we tell. So let's stir the cauldron and speak the spell. So I have another magical being with me today. So tell us your name and your business name.
Okay, I'm Cara Finch, and my business name is also Cara Finch.
That's awesome. I love it. And could you tell us about what you do?
Yes, I'm an artist. I paint intuitive and metaphysical paintings. I usually work in acrylic, although I do also drawing with pen and ink and pencil and charcoal.
Nice. And your art is so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And where is your business located?
Well, I did have a shop downtown in Greenfield, but I closed it last year, about a year and a half ago. And so I typically now just sell artwork at different locations, like events, festivals, Renaissance festivals, art festivals.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of everywhere.
Yeah, nice. And how did you start doing what you do?
Well, I've kind of always done it. I've been selling artwork and painting and drawing professionally for about 30 years.
Nice.
But prior to that, like as a kid, my mom says I started at 2. So I've kind of like not done it. I couldn't even think of a time, that I wasn't drawing or painting. And I, to the extent that I probably got in trouble.
It's part of your DNA now.
Yes. I would draw on, walls, clothes, desks, like anything. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
Somewhere out there's one of your first artworks on a piece of furniture.
There probably is.
Nice. What type of practitioner are you?
Well, I consider myself an intuitive practitioner. I practice from a lot of different perspectives, mostly pagan, but I definitely draw from different perspectives. But I work intuitively, and I think that's sort of just been kind of how I've always done it. I was raised Catholic, but very early on, kind of butted heads with the belief system, and but along like the spiritual path, I was just always very driven spiritually, but I just didn't really know what path, or what teachings or what label I wanted. So yeah, I just kind of fell into everything, and it's really been intuitive.
Yeah, and it's good to just put your toes, so to speak, into different paths and walk those different trails.
Definitely.
And to explore yourself and discover yourself. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your spiritual origin story or an awakening moment?
I've had several. It's been like a progression.
Nice.
And I think like I said, when I was young, I was raised Catholic. I just, didn't vibe with it, and kind of had a bit of a rough start in life. I had a lot of, sort of difficulty in childhood to where I initially became an atheist. And I, eventually teen years, early 20s, wound up in California. I'd say that was probably my first like awakening, which I didn't even understand what it was at the time, because I was just so like, well, how could there be divine beings if bad things happen in the world?
Yeah.
And, so I had that kind of mentality, but I was biking home one day in a full moon along the coast, lived in Santa Cruz, and there was a full moon, and I was just at this cliff overlooking the ocean. And there was just like this strange, I would call it like knowledge or like a download, I guess. Now I know what it is. At the time, I was like, I just had this knowledge that our bodies are not our true selves, that this form that we're in is not our true self, that it's a very limited vessel, and that our true self is unlimited by things like gravity, or, that we could just float off over the ocean and, fly or float or whatever, and that this is temporary. And, I had no idea where that came from. And it was so strange, that it just kind of like was there, and but it was like a knowledge. It wasn't like a wondering. It was just like a knowledge. And so I kind of just like, okay. And then I ended up having my first child, my son, maybe a year after that. And I feel like a lot of my spiritual awakening happened through that, through the pregnancy, through the birth. He was, having a son, I was a single parent. And so I was like, how am I going to raise a boy, And so it was a lot of sort of self exploration. And then also, I was struck by lightning while I was pregnant.
Oh,
and
wow.
So that's how I found out I was pregnant.
Literally and touched by the heavens.
Yes. When I went to the hospital, they told me the news. And so, I discovered I was pregnant by being struck by lightning.
Oh, wow.
Then he was born early on a full moon on the stroke of midnight. So I'm still waiting for him to get his Harry Potter powers.
Yes.
But it was just such a strange thing. And he came out as just this, very sort of gentle being, this, very just aware person, and talking about who he was before I was his mother and things like that. And just,
like a reincarnation?
Yes. Wow. And so it was, me being still atheist at that point was like, what is this? And it started me exploring a lot. And then, I had 3 more kids after that. And so like fast forward all the years, but I had a, sort of a mind-blowing experience maybe 10 years ago. So I guess I still only had 3 kids at that point, but I was at a Reiki session with my aunt, she's a Reiki master. She had been telling me, come do Reiki. I have a lot of I have migraines and stuff like that. And I was a little bit skeptical about it. I had never done Reiki yet or experienced it at all. I was still, but I was already fully into the whole pagan path and metaphysical so it wasn't out of the realm. I just hadn't done it yet. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And she was it was dark. I had my eyes closed. She had a blanket over me, but she was putting crystals on the chakras. Yes. I didn't know that I couldn't feel it. And she said, if you see anything, let me know. And I could see a little orange pebble, with my eyes closed. And I said that. I said, well, I'm seeing this little orange pebble. And she said, oh, yeah, that's a carnelian stone, and I was like, and so at the end of it, when we were done, she gave it to me. Oh. And I was just blown away because I had just seen something with my eyes closed, and so it was kind of like, I'd had some experiences leading up to that, but you tend to, rationalize things away. Yeah. And so that was like, you cannot deny, that there are things that are possible that you would have previously said are impossible. And so I had seen something with my eyes closed, and that just kind of was like the final, okay, I'm open now. Yeah. And I think since then it's been like stuff, there was like a snowball, to where, now I no longer say there's anything not possible, I'm open, and, it's pretty amazing. Everything around us is magical, everything. Yeah. And that's what that kind of taught me, is literally a little tiny stone, and she was so matter of fact about it, that happens. I was like, what?
The wonders of it, and she's like, yeah.
It was sort of commonplace for her.
Yeah, especially when you've been doing that for a while. I think it gets commonplace for you, but it's still this wondrous, amazing thing.
Yes.
Yeah. What is your daily spiritual or magical practice like?
Well, I have 3 kids that live at home, 3 dogs, a single parent, and I work, full time with my art business. So fitting it in, that's my, but I mostly, I always say that I'm going to set up an altar, and I have sort of an altar, but, it keeps getting pushed further and further into it, everything else keeps taking over all the rooms. And so it's sort of painting is definitely, I do paint almost every day. And that is definitely like my main spiritual practice. But I try to do, sort of like grounding and cleansing and things like that. I say I'm going to do it on a daily basis. Doesn't often, happen. Getting into the woods, getting into nature is my other. That's the real like clearing and grounding. I can tell when it's been too long, and it's like, okay, I got to go back to the woods now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
especially when you start to get that cabin fever almost. Even if it's not winter, you're inside too much.
Yes. I definitely. I love to paint outside. That's like when when the weather cooperates and things like that. That is like the most. It just feels like you're so connected.
I love that. Nice. Especially like in a movie scene, you're out. And
yes.
Who or what inspires your path the most?
Definitely nature. That's sort of always been. I've just always really been drawn to the earth, and my grandfather had a farm. When I was a kid, that was like my favorite place. Was like waking up in the morning and look outside. There's horses, and just anything, the ground, the rocks, the trees, everything like that. I just really, you can look anywhere in nature and there's things that are like insects. Everything is inspiring. And so it's sort of I don't know, like I said, it's kind of all around you, everything. But also people, there's not necessarily a specific person, but I think just, there's so many people that are so resilient, and so when you meet people that have come through things and, go on to help others and things like that, those kind of people are very inspiring to me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
What was your biggest challenge you faced on your journey, and how did you overcome it?
Oh gosh, I think there's been a lot of challenges. I think for almost everybody, I feel like our main challenge is ourself. I did, like I said, I had, kind of my childhood was a little rough, and I was, I had learning disabilities as a kid. I stayed back, so I didn't really connect with other kids much. I didn't have any friends. I had animals were my friends, and my dad was a Vietnam vet with a lot of issues, and home life was very chaotic, and so that kind of like starts things off. A little bit of a you kind of got to get over a lot of inner talk and things like that you pick up along the way. And I'm lucky that I had art, because that's, I was always drawing and drawing and drawing. And I think I drew my feelings, I drew my desires, like wishes, like things. If I want, I wish this, and I would draw that, or this is draw like houses with like trapdoors and
nice.
Secret forts and things like that. And just a lot of fantasy. I read a lot too, but so I think you kind of carry that with you into adulthood, even into parenthood and things like that. And so overcoming that, I think is having confidence, things like that. Talking yourself through, especially when you're getting into spiritual stuff, because if you've had sort of like negative adult voices or anything like that in your life, it's easy to sort of, brush things under the rug. Like there could be like spiritual guidance, like in your face, yelling at you, and you're like, that's probably not real, because you're used to, you're used to sort of like not trusting yourself. And so I think in almost all aspects of life, like that is kind of maybe the biggest thing to overcome.
Yeah, interesting. And that's so true, because sometimes, even if it's no one specific, and just in general, it's like a society as a whole gets like that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the other, religion was and so in school, it seems like as a kid, like everywhere you go, and sort of finding like the divine feminine for me was like the game changer.
Nice.
And like, wait a minute, like that's not true, and so that I think like going back to what inspires you, like people that inspire you, it's like when people are able to come through whatever challenges they had, and then like find that strength and goodness, and truth is like, and I really think everybody has that potential, and it's literally a mind game. Like,
it really is. And for all the bad that we see in the world, there's 10 times the good. It's just not being portrayed as much, which it probably should be, but everybody's just focusing on what tools, methods, or spirits guide your work?
Well, my paintbrush is my probably main tool, but I do use like candles and crystals and things like that. Sometimes just stuff I find out in the woods too, like a random stick that looks cool. But as far as like, I very much believe in ancestors guiding us, because I feel like not only do they guide us, but I feel like we heal them. And so I think in our work that we're doing, it's healing ourselves, but it's healing them. And so I feel like it's a mutual, beneficial relationship.
Yeah.
But I really do think that they, are really intensely guiding us.
And that's so true, because if you're healing something that's like a ancestral trauma, and then it does go forward, but I believe it also goes back, like you're
definitely
saying. Absolutely.
I kind of don't, I kind of believe that like time is, kind of not linear, and so I think that there's potential to correct the past. And maybe the future.
Absolutely. I mean, when I think of a time frame, I feel like it's on an infinity loop.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you stay energetically protected and grounded?
I think I've been lucky. Actually, I wonder that a lot.
Nice.
Like, because I really do feel like for all the, troubles and sort of sometimes unlucky things I've run into in my life, and there's been a lot of struggles, but there's also been this sort of like, I don't know, maybe a bubble, to where it's like I've maybe wandered into some places that like things could have gone wrong, and I'm always okay, or kind of feel like it's intuition, like avoid there, or kind of thing, or even how to respond to a situation that could be problematic. I feel like there's been some sort of guidance. I feel like it's probably ancestors, maybe spirit guides as well. I definitely believe in guidance from animal spirit guides. I don't know what they are. I mean, they're obviously more than just like a coyote, but they're they've definitely appeared like dramatically, and it's like, okay, that's I'm listening, and
a sign.
It's I don't know who's sending them or what they are, but it's been pretty amazing. I've been pretty lucky.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Continue to do that going forward.
Yes.
What's one common misconception about your craft or your work?
Well, with artwork, people think it's just like easy. Like you just paint all day and sit back and people buy it.
With my crayon to see you later.
Right.
It's not like that.
It's a lot of frustration, a lot of for every piece that you're happy with, there's like 100 that you're like, why is this not coming out right? Also, the business end of it. It's a lot of footwork, a lot of rejection, a lot of, putting in time that doesn't get payback. There's just a lot of that. But it's, and also too, as an artist, there's sort of like I don't know, I guess like a dilemma of what path you're going to go down. There's sort of like traditional art route, which I used to do. And then there's like this path that I found that is just like, I don't know, I feel like Norman Rockwell is like a guy that did that, to where the art critics like hated him. They trashed him, they tore him apart. And yet he just was so successful that, it's hilarious, because they were like, oh, he's not doing it right, and yet everybody loved him. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's a thing, is that I used to just do galleries and, my portfolios and this like traditional art, which is great too. And it's a lot of fun, but you don't know who buys your artwork. You don't know why. There's no interaction. So it's just a very different sort of disconnected route. So then if you're doing this like festivals and things like that, now you're interacting with people. I learned so much from like, why are they buying my artwork? And that like in turn taught me, that people respond to art. Like, and then people always apologize to me. I'm so sorry, I don't know anything about art. And I'm like, if you have eyes, like, you're good. And that, because it's like, we all have emotions, we all have intuitive, connections. And I feel like that's what art is, that expression. And so you don't have to, have all the lingo and ways to describe why a piece speaks to you. It just does. And so I think that is something that people don't understand. They feel like there has to be like this intellectual ability, and it's not, it's an emotional, and even like there's something, I mean, people have been creating art since there was people, cave drawings. And so like, what is that that's making us do that? Because that's what, when I do my artwork, like I have to do it. It's not that I just feel like doing it or I want to do it.
Something
like
inside you that wants to be on that canvas or what have you. I mean, one of our first sense that we have that activates our brain mostly is sight.
That's true, right?
So when you see something visual that is stimulating to you, but not stimulating to this one, but that's okay.
Exactly.
Because what's stimulating to them may not be stimulating to this one. So
exactly. It's really fascinating to get into it.
It really is. It could be a rabbit hole.
Yes.
What sacred self-care practices keep you aligned?
Definitely going to the woods, and that is, I feel like there's literally like you can draw energy, from the trees and the rocks and the soil and the rivers. I feel like moving water especially is like just really, if you're kind of like drained, you sit by a river or sit by the ocean, and that's like, they're all connected, and they're all moving. So it's like just kind of a good way to like draw in the energy. I keep saying I'm going to do yoga. I used to do yoga, and that's a very grounding thing too. And I keep meaning to get back to it. And
you will, yes. When your time is right,
exactly,
for sure.
Exactly.
Yep. Can you share a powerful or memorable client or customer interaction or transformation?
There's been a lot of them. That's what I mean about when you're interacting with the customers versus, just putting your art on a wall and leaving. I've been blown away, at people's reactions, because it's really sort of like solidified the idea that we're all connected. Because I've had some people like just stop in their tracks and be like, I had a dream. They'd be like, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I've had a dream about that image.
Nice.
And I'm like, I believe it. Kind of, that kind of thing. Like there's just this strange interaction, and I do think that like that's why I'm painting, it's a way to connect with people. It's a way to connect with spirit. It's just, I do think we think we're separate, but we're not, and so we have these little hints or clues, whether it be an art piece or whatever, that kind of, can remind us. Because I do kind of believe that we know, we have this internal knowledge that we've forgotten, and I think these things like, when you have these coincidences, and that kind of thing happens a lot, where customers will come up and recognize something, or they'll just start crying sometimes. That took me a little while to get used to. My mother often will sit at my booths and sell the artwork, and she'll tell me, oh, we had another crier today, and it's the strangest thing. The first few times I didn't know what to do, because I thought, oh my gosh, are they upset? But there's something that they just connect with, and often it's a past loved one.
So
a lot of my artwork sometimes I'll have images like of what I'm going to paint, and it's not for, I don't know what it is. It's for someone else. And so then when they see it, they recognize it. I have no idea what it is.
Interesting. Like you're a messenger through it almost.
Very much so. I often think some of my artwork I'm exploring or expressing my own experiences, but some of it, it's like when I start painting, I'm just connected. Time goes by, hours go by. Wow. I could forget everything and important things too, so like days could go by and I'm not hungry. I don't know. I'm just so absorbed, and it's definitely like, just coming through. I've definitely had some knowledge, like while I had I've done like book covers and things like that. I had some commissions from this particularly just really advanced person. And, and as I was doing that artwork for him, like I just like was receiving all these downloads, and I'm like, I was so blown away, and it's I think it's just being open when you're doing anything, whether it be music or, any kind of creativity, when you're just plugged in, and open. It's
like you're channeling it right from the universe directly through you onto the canvas.
Yes.
But as a message for maybe somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. They can't do that gift. Like they don't have that a skill set that you do to put on canvas, so they do it for you, and then it meets the person, and they're just like,
yes, it's amazing, and I don't, like I said, I don't always know, what it is until sometimes, it could be years later. Like I'll put that away, and then somebody sees it and knows what it is.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm getting goosebumps. What does success look like to you as a spiritual business owner?
There's a lot of levels of it, and keeping. I've always only wanted to do art. Like from the time I was a kid, like that's what I wanted to do, and I tried not to. I tried to be responsible, and I went to college for psychology and stuff like that, and and I would always get like every job I was at would close, and it was sort of like the universe was like no, and so making money and trying to exist in a capitalist society is like this thing that sort of interferes with like real knowledge and learning and creativity. And so finding that balance, I feel so grateful that I can make an income. I'm not rich and I never will be, and that's fine, but I can pay my bills and exist and like support my kids by doing something that I love and that, can give others what they're looking for too, and it's just, I'm still exploring it. I'm still on this path. Like who the heck knows where it's going to go. And, but being able to do that in this culture that is so, really not open, nobody was like, go be an artist. So it was like, doing that was kind of, I finally did it full time, maybe 12 years ago, because another job closed, and I just got hit with so many illustration jobs that I was like, maybe I can do this full time, and so it's, doing that, but then also being able to do it at a level that like you're not doing it for money, and you're doing it like truly for a spiritual experience, and that I think is the success of it. Because I've illustrated like psychology textbooks and like really dry, boring, like brains and skulls and spines, and, and you get paid for it, but it's like, well, that was boring, and there's no growth. There's no
that did not express myself at all.
Right. It's just boring. So that's nice. Yes.
Nice. Do you follow the moon astrology or seasonal cycles in your work?
Yes. The moon I don't know, I just love the moon. Like I think I've always been a night person. As I get older, I can't stay up late, but like I love the moon. Yes. And definitely, you know, the equinoxes and solstices, those are my real holidays. Like the other, you know, commercial holidays, like we do them, but you know, I feel like the changing of the seasons, like I feel it more so than just a celebration. It's like physical, you know, like, and sometimes even difficult, you know, so, but it's so, you know, like when you get into, you know, fall and the change is almost difficult to bear, like physically, like as it's beautiful. And I just love that season where the veil is lifting and, you know, but at the same time, like I can physically feel like the earth kind of going like, you know, the leaves are falling and it's like, oh my God. And then you're in winter and, you know, and winter's beautiful, but it's so like, you're just like, I don't know. In
literally under a blanket.
Yes. I'm cold all winter. And you know, and then spring comes and you're like alive again. And so, you know, I feel like we really are. My birthday is on Earth Day. I don't know if that's why.
That's awesome.
You know, but I even like my migraines they're so terrible. I have really a difficult time with them. But they're very tied to like, so when the barometric pressure drops, I'm literally like product of my environment. And so, I'm like so in it, but I do, you know, think that, I don't know, we're meant to be that connected to nature. And, you know, and so maybe when we observe it more, it's easier.
Maybe. And I'm sure like the things that aren't so natural that we have to ingest somehow, whether it's air or it's a cleaning product or it's something that we're eating or drinking or breathing or anything like that is touching our skin, and so I'm sure that being absorbed in our body does not help.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. What's something you wish more people knew about energy work, divination, rituals, what have you?
Everything. I feel like, you know, it's like as these experiences, you know, I've had just really intense experiences. I've had things like ghost drums and, you know, I went to a wild woman weekend and we did like dancing. Oh my God, it was awesome. And it was before COVID. I haven't heard of another one since, but we did, you know, dancing around a bonfire and I was sleeping out in this meadow and was woken up by drumming, which I thought was, I'm like, boy, they're late, you know, they're still at it. And in the morning, and it's happened twice throughout the night. And in the morning, everybody was like, no, we went to bed, you know, nobody was drumming. And so things like that. But I think you can't tell everybody that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people are so in the material world. And, you know, and so I wish that spirituality, because I feel like religion has really, you know, harmed a lot of people. And sort of like remove spirituality from like daily life. And so, you know, I wish we could get back to that. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm coming from being an angry atheist, you know, so it's possible, you know, and it's so healing. And so I wish that the magic of, you know, just daily life that more people could experience that, because I feel like that would like bring, you know, so much happiness. I think so. And look, you know, all the depression and the struggle and everything like that. When I was working as a therapist, that was one thing that I like just had a hard time. You know, I was sort of governed by insurance. You know, insurance is like, treat them this way. And I was bringing people out hiking and stuff like that. I worked at a residential setting for teenage boys who had addiction issues. And, you know, and I started just bringing them out hiking. And that alone, like, my God, it transformed those kids.
I bet.
You know? And so, you know, but it wasn't covered by insurance.
It's almost like a contradiction with the spirituality. You would figure it would go in hand with religion, right? Yes. And I felt very limited. That's a, you know, a thing between art and like being a therapist, and like there was such like rigid, like, here's how you do it. And I almost felt like we were harming people because we weren't allowed to talk about this and you had to do that. And, you know, whereas with art, like, there's no limits. Like, I'm just giving you something that doesn't even have words. And they're getting it.
And like, I feel like I can connect with people better through art more fully than, with words as a therapist. And, and if people did art, like, and express themselves, because words are limiting, and maybe even restricting. So
that's true. Yeah, I agree. And it's sad because you figured that it would be more, if you're in that field to help people, you should be.
Yeah,
just you're using all the tools to help the person, but
I was pretty disillusioned working in under insurance, and so I think like I said, I'm lucky. I think art saved me, and I think it really could. And funny enough, even as a therapist, especially with teenagers, like when they'd come in my office and see my artwork, like usually they would like not talk, and they'd be, but then they'd see the artwork, and that's what would get them talking, and so. Yeah, maybe,
maybe one of them are artists now.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. If you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting their path, what would it be?
Their spiritual path?
Any path.
Oh, any path. Well, be confident and just do it, because, I think as you do things, I think people have ideas and they don't start them because it's scary, or like, how are you going to do it? Or what if you're not? I think the biggest thing, a lot of people, is like, it's not good enough. And especially in artwork, I have so many friends that are just amazing artists, and they just hide their artwork because they think it's not good enough. And that's another thing I learned when I was initially, starting out in my professional art journey. It's like, there's this idea that it has to be this like masterpiece, and and it's very competitive thinking and things like that. And, as I got farther along and learned more, I realized that often it's the flaws, that make you unique. And so just do it. And you never know, like the beauty that can come out of something that you're just like, winging it, is like often something you're not ever going to find when you're like trying to do something the way somebody else did it. And so, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. Maybe it may surprise themselves.
Yes.
Sure. Yes. So what magic are you currently brewing in regards to any classes you're teaching, events you're doing, what have you?
I have a lot of events. I sell artwork at a lot of Renaissance festivals. So I have a whole bunch of them lined up. There's like the orchard at the Red Apple Orchard. They're doing one in May. I do the Connecticut Ren Fair, the Robin Hood Ren Fair. I'm doing the Maine Ren Fair.
Nice.
I have a lot of metaphysical fairs and things like that. I do a lot of paranormal investigation too.
Ooh.
And so, I have been on this thing where I do intuitive drawing during a paranormal investigation.
Nice.
And some really crazy things have come out of that. It's really fun. I have a group of really cool friends that go. And so I've been sort of putting together a collection of paranormal drawings. And nice. I have a lot of that.
Like a coffee table book out of it.
That's what I may do.
Nice.
I'm working on 2 different oracle decks, and
fun.
there's a lot.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I love it. Now for some fun questions. What is your sun, moon, and rising sign, if you know them?
I do.
Nice.
Taurus.
Wow, nice.
Yes.
Right across the board, huh?
It's an easy one. That's I was like, is this right? Like, can you have all
It's
Taurus,
rare it's rare to have all 3 the same side going across, but
yes. I think I'm stubborn. So
my daughter's a Taurus. I get that.
Oh yes. My first son is a Taurus as well. So there's but it's definitely I've had I'm also an Aries Taurus cusp, there's a lot of odd things I've in my I like symbols and things like that, and signs, and I find that we can often look around and like find things that it's like, oh, that's why. So I think learning about astrology or like numerology, my life path number is 11, and so I'm like, well, what does that mean? And so it's definitely like I've had a lot of sort of like dramatic like really like, okay,
Yeah.
this is going to happen. And, I don't know. It's been an interesting journey. That's why I kind of see what happens next.
It's interesting that you're like past 11, but you got Taurus, which also has the horns. So I picture the 11.
I didn't even think of that. Yes.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, the 11. That's awesome.
That's and I've had this like 4 thing. Like I have 4 kids. Like, my birthday is 4, the month of 4, like everything's 4. I had my last child when I was 44. Like, it's just this strange, I don't know, things like that like you can catch patterns in life a lot. Yeah.
And it's funny how they're all like connected, and it can be so subtle. Yeah. Unless you're really looking for it. But as soon as you see it, you can go right down the rabbit hole of all the connections. Yeah, it's like this hidden web or what have you, right?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite crystal, herb, or tool that you always work with?
My favorite crystal is still carnelian.
Nice.
Ever since that one episode, it's just like, whoa. But I also like obsidian and anything that's sort of grounding. And there's a little bug joining us. But and herbs, I don't know as much about herbs. I would like to learn more. Like my mom knows more about herbs. But I think probably the Taurus thing, like the whole earth, crystals, stones, wood. I love wood. I love the smell of wood. And so, different trees. I just sort of really love trees. And so I sort of just kind of work with those the most.
Nice. Awesome. What is your magical nickname or an archetype that you resonate with?
What was an archetype?
An archetype or a nickname that you have?
I don't have any except for one of my best friends from my 20s. He used to call me Scaries. That's the only nickname I've ever had. Because my mom used to call me Carrie. And so he just changed it to Scary. And it's stuck. We're still close friends. And so it's been 30 years of Scary. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm not like that at all. Tea or tincture?
Probably tea.
Tarot or runes?
I like both, but I think tarot. Yeah.
A cauldron or candle?
Ooh, that's a hard one too. Maybe candle.
If your spirit guide had a voice, what would it sound like?
Probably yelling at me. No. Like you're not listening again. I think it would probably be actually. I feel like it's a joker, like a joking, humorous.
Yeah. Like a the jester in a court.
Like a little bit of a wise,
Yeah. That's funny. Do you have any pets?
I have a lot of pets. I have 3 dogs. I have 2 German Shepherds and an Irish Jack Russell.
Oh.
And I have 2 cats.
Opposite of each other.
Oh,
the Jack Russell Terrier and no, not me, but your 2 dogs are like the opposite of each other. Like
yes.
German Shepherd,
Yes. Well, I had the 2 German Shepherds first, and then we got the Jack Russell, so my youngest could walk somebody,
that's cute.
and not be pulled. And yes. And so, we have 2 cats and 2 rabbits. Oh. So it's a full house.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Luckily, they all get along.
Which is also important because you don't want to come home to that kind of mess.
No.
So that was all the questions I had for you. Was there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I don't think so. There's so many things, but I'd go on forever. It was great talking to you.
It was great talking to you too. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to put a link for them to find you on the description of the episode. Do you have a website, or you want that to be a Facebook or?
I do have a website. It's carafinchart.com.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. The Instagram is cara.finch.fine.art.
It's funny how you have to like add these little things to have the account.
Yes, and it makes it so long.
I know. Awesome. So I will put the description, the link to find you in the description, and go check out her art. And you're doing the convention in April too, right?
I am. Yes.
So come on by to the convention we have in April. You'll find us on our website and buy a piece of her art. It's really, really awesome. Like it's mind blowing. I love it. And as always, come check us out at Enchanted Dragonfly. We are a metaphysical shop at 99 Church Street in Whitinsville, Massachusetts. And as always, bless be, and give this episode a like, share with your friends, follow the podcast channel, help us grow, and love y'all. Bye, guys.